All right, good morning, everyone. We're gonna start. Thank you guys all for being here. It means a ton, and excited to get started. So, if you didn't get a shirt, you're welcome to grab one in the back. And there's some journals there. We have a bunch more journals coming within the week, and the next edition is a lot nicer than those ones. They're like hardbound. So, anyway, next Saturday, if you pull up, then you can get one of those too. But my name's Parker Vassau, and I am stoked about this. This is gonna be super fun. I've kind of informally been helping people with real estate investing and kind of the wealth creation piece for a long time, but I'm really excited to be like formalizing it. And so today we have a bunch of you guys that are here, obviously work with Point. My day job is I'm the VP of sales at Point Marketing. We're a pest control marketing company that we hire reps to go door to door and sell pest control throughout the country. But there's also a lot of people here that are like real estate professionals. So I have some real estate agents here, a lender here. And part of my goal with this whole thing is to kind of create a community where people that want to get into real estate, that have the cash and the knowledge, can connect with people that can help them make that happen. One of my favorite books that I've read in the last year is called Who Not How by Ben Hardy. If you haven't read that book, it's a really awesome book. But his whole thesis is if you want to get something done in life, find a who that can help you go do that. So there will be real estate agents here that can help with stuff, lenders. Tyler, what's up, man? Yeah, good to see you, bro. And then I hope to be a who in terms of like helping you guys learn the how-to in real estate as well. I've had a ton of help in my life from mentors, and we want this community to be that for you so that you can be excited about going and working harder at your day job so that you can get in the game and start investing at a young age, which will change your life like it did mine. So anyway, raise your hand if you're here and you work in door-to-door sales. So a lot of probably 80-90% of our group here. Raise your hand if you work in real estate, like kind of more on the real estate professional side of things. So we got a couple people here. I want to intro them because I think a lot of the rest of us know each other. And then there's some people here. Tate, you work in tech sales, right? Yeah. Cool. So there's some people. We got all kind of different types of people here, which is gonna be fun. So, Cole, I'll just kind of intro some of these guys that aren't here on a weekly basis with Point, so that you guys can kind of know who they are. But this is my brother-in-law, Cole. Cole is a lender and works with Intercap Lending, and he's a lender that I've used for years. How long have you been in the lending game?
Almost. It'll be 10 years in October.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so almost a decade. And I think every loan that I've done, Cole has done for me, except we did a commercial deal and you didn't do that one, but
I don't touch this.
Yeah, no commercial real estate, but any residential real estate deal that I've done, Cole has helped me with. So Cole's an amazing lender. You're a real estate agent, you want a good lender, he's a great option. If you're gonna invest in real estate, he's an awesome option. My little sister Cassidy is a real estate agent. She sold us our primary residence in Saratoga Springs. Cassidy can stand up. She's the cute girl in the denim. So yeah, Cassidy will be here. She's a real estate agent. Tyler Jackson in the back. You probably know Tyler. A lot of you guys have used Tyler for some of your rental properties. Tyler has sold me a bunch of my rentals. He's amazing, super sharp, competent. So yeah, network with Tyler after, network with Cass and Cole. And then Camden is friends with Jackson. Jackson's getting his first rental property here within the next week or two. Camden's helping Jackson with that. I just met Camden, but he's sharp and ask him questions, get to know him as well. So anyway, I wanted everyone to feel welcome here before we get rolling. So I'm going to introduce myself. I love this word underdog. So like I've been trying to kind of build this brand for a long time. And like I said, I'm recently wanted to like formalize it and build some branding around it. But my story is I got a 16 on the ACT test in high school. I took the test twice. And I had low confidence, like really low confidence when it came to my future and whether or not I was going to be successful. Went on a church mission, came home, found this like super roundabout way of getting into BYU. I went there as like a visiting student. They let anyone do that. But because I learned Bulgarian really well, I like tested out of it and then ended up getting into BYU. Started working in sales here at Point. That changed my life. And I'm going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about some like active income vehicles too. So we're going to not get super technical today with real estate stuff. We are going to start to dive into it, but I learned some active income skills that helped me acquire capital to then go be able to start investing in real estate at a young age, which changed my life. I became a millionaire at age 26. So from getting a 16 on the ACT test in high school to that, like I'm really passionate about helping anyone and everyone go create wealth at a young age. And I believe that if I can do it, you can do it. Like a lot of you guys are way smarter than I am. And so it just takes, it takes a who, right? It takes people being in your corner and learning from them that can help you with learning, and then also just giving you confidence that you can do it along the way. So that's my story. I have 2 kids and a wife, and we live in Saratoga Springs. And anyway, I hope to be a big part of this thing, but a lot of this stuff also, like, just be here and be intentional and network and ask questions and utilize this community. So the mission here is just that, just like what I just covered. Although I went to BYU, I don't feel like I owe a lot of like the success that I've had to formal education. I honestly do feel like I've gotten more out of this kind of stuff than I did formal education. I wish in school we learned about real estate investing and what a mortgage is and like taxes and things that like there are some things that are just inevitable in life, right? And taxes is one of them. And buying a house should be high on that list, things like that, right? And so there are things that I want to jam on and talk about in this little academy here that I didn't get a lot of in school. So that's kind of the main objective, is just create a community that can support what you're learning in your formal education. So here's the agenda for the next couple of weeks. So we're going to actually do 3 of these like in-person meetups. So we're going to do today, next Saturday. We're going to skip a week in April because I'll be traveling. And then the middle of April, we'll do our last real estate kind of deep dive. 2 and 3 will be more technical. Like we're going to get into what strategies I should look to use in real estate and how to analyze a deal. How do I know whether it's a good deal or a bad deal? Today's going to be more vision, high level, get you pumped. Like my hope is that today you're walking out of here feeling like I'm going to go work really hard at my day job so I can go get into this game and learn how to do this. So it will feel a little bit rah-rah today, but 2 and 3 will feel more technical. And then the 4th one, I just want to do a Top Golf networking event. Again, like the networking is a super big objective with this whole thing. So we're just going to, we'll pay for it. You guys come and just enjoy and have fun and meet people. So that's kind of the agenda over the next couple of weeks. Any questions on that with dates? Is 9 o'clock a good time on Saturdays for you guys generally? It's not too early. I know I'm mainly dealing with college kids that are probably out on Friday nights, but today we were going to do 10 o'clock, but then I found out there's a chance that BYU was going to play this morning. And so I had to change it up because of priorities. I would have canceled this thing if BYU was playing during this time. So I wouldn't have blamed you for not coming. So today we're covering, I want to talk today about like true wealth and like kind of big picture stuff. And honestly, I hope that even like the real estate professionals here get some value out of this stuff. It's not going to just all be real estate. We are going to start, the second half of today will be like, how do I start and how do I get into real estate? The second meetup, we're going to talk about how I make money in real estate, what are the wealth generators, and what are the strategies that I should use or look at in terms of real estate investing. And then the last meetup, we're going to talk about debt and all the different types of mortgages, all the different debt vehicles that are powerful that you can use in real estate. And then we're going to get into how to run the numbers on a deal, how to analyze it, what to look for, what to not look for, what to avoid, and then how to run some actual numbers. So anyway, that's our plan. I want to just share a quick story just to kind of kick things off. So the question is, what is true wealth? When you guys think of the concept like true wealth, what comes to your guys' mind? Maybe not just financial wealth, but like wealth in general. Like what comes to your mind? And there's no right or wrong answers on this. Yeah.
I'd say like prosperity.
Love that.
Happy family.
Yeah. So family's a big part of that. Yeah, it's hard to be wealthy when you don't have anyone to go experience it with. I totally agree. Yeah, Seth.
I was gonna say joy, similar to that. I think that maybe inner sense of happiness.
Love that. Yeah, like inner peace, inner happiness, not just external things, but things that are happening kind of inside your heart and in your life. Yeah.
I would say this freedom, like being able to just like fun, travel, make relationships instead of just stuff working all the time.
Yeah. I love that thought. Yeah. Really, really good. Anything else that comes to your guys' mind? Yeah, Sam.
Stability, security, I don't know worry about maybe tomorrow or the next month, the next year, just also know security as well.
Yeah.
Being able to decide what you're gonna do tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the word sovereign. If you haven't like looked into what that word means, like it's just like I love the idea of like being like a sovereign nation. My wife and I choose a word for every year, and that's our word this year is like sovereignty, which really just means like we are in charge, right? Like I believe in God, and I believe really at the end of the day, like God is in charge. But in terms of my life, like I don't want other people dictating the options that I have. Like I just want to be able to live life on my terms, right? So I think that's super powerful. So I agree. A wealthy person has that going for them. So the story I wanted to share, this is my stepdad. So my stepdad passed away 6-7 months ago. And I have some family here, so this will be kind of like it was a pretty hard thing to go through, and it was really heavy, to be honest. So six months ago, we were standing around a reclining chair, and he was passing away. And he had ALS, and you know someone that gets ALS, I feel really sorry for you because I don't know of a worse disease that you can go and have in life. Like legs shutting down, body shutting down, lungs shutting down, bowels shutting down, everything. Like humiliating, right? So the last couple of weeks of his life, were literally like just trying to help him survive and like have another day. So anyway, we're surrounding him one night. He's passing away. He died like a total stud. Like basically, when you have ALS, you have two ways to die. You can have a heart attack because your body shuts down, or you can basically choose to suffocate, and that's it. Like those are your options. And he chose to suffocate, and we just held his hand through it. And kind of standing around him that night, like there's a lot on my mind. It was the first parent that I've had in my life that I've lost. Luckily, my father is still alive and my mom's still alive, but first parent that I've lost. And so if you've been in that scenario, like there's this crazy thing that happens in your mind and in your heart where you're like, I'm going to die at some point. Like some point in my life, that will be me. I will be in that chair, you know? And so there's these two questions that were kind of on my mind that night and have been on my mind since. And a lot of this is related to just this whole thing that I'm going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks. And all those words that you guys used, you know, freedom, joy, all that stuff, like all those words have been on my heart. But these two questions are just the questions that I think I wanted to start today with. One, when I pass, there's two things that are important to me. One, I want my kids and the people around me to be able to say that they can rely on me. And not just financially, but in all areas of life. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, in order to be relied on in all areas of life, you have to get your financial piece figured out. That's just inevitable. It's just part of the deal, right? And then the second is, am I admired by loved ones? Will I be admired the same way that I admired him? So I thought it'd be just an interesting way to start, just kind of those two questions, right? And I hope that we can all build our lives in a way to where we can confidently answer those two questions at the end of our life. So there's these 4 F's that if you work at Point, then you're really familiar with them because we teach and preach them all the time. But this is like the foundation of kind of what we want to, the lives that we want to lead. And I believe if people like go all in on these, then they will be able to confidently answer those two questions. So faith, family, finances, and fitness. If you schedule these 4 into your everyday life proactively, then I believe you can create a life where you can confidently answer those two questions at the end of your life. For this academy, our focus is the finance piece, right? But my goal is that if you can win this part of your life, then you can show up in the other important areas of your life. Money is just an amplifier and it's a magnifier to help you dominate in the other important areas of your life. And there are two parts of the financial piece. There's an active income component, which there are real estate professionals that will discount. Like there's a lot of people out there that will say, you can buy real estate with no money down and you can scale really fast that way. And that might be true, but that's not been my story. And so the purpose of this academy, we will talk a little bit today about how to go and find skills where you can go create active income. So we are going to talk about this piece because I do believe that if you want to last in real estate, you have to have a way to go get the cash to then dump it into investments, right? But the passive income piece is super important. And there's way too many people out there that are rich, but not wealthy. What does that mean to you when I say that? Like rich, not wealthy, what comes to your mind? Yeah, Bliss.
It's like they could be making a lot of money, but if they got fired from their job, that'd be their only source of income.
Yes.
No other securities.
100%. Yeah, they're fully reliant on, I think Tony Robbins talks about how like, when the music stops, like you're like a dancing monkey. Like when the music stops and you can't dance anymore, like the show's over, right? But if you're invested and you have passive income, you could break your leg or get hit by a bus or whatever, and your family will be okay. And it's important to start this young. It's super important. Did you have Adam and then Cameron?
Yeah, basically being rich is just like limited wealth, but wealth lasts a lot.
Yeah. When I think of wealth, I think of like, it's like your brother, like your brother's region at point is called infinity, the infinity region. Like I love that word in terms of wealth. Like it just lives on. This thing just goes, right? Like if I could live forever type of thing because of wealth. If you're truly wealthy, then you could kind of live forever. If you're rich, then when the music stops, you're done, right? Camden.
Like to me, it's you've only ever learned how to work for your money. You haven't learned how to have your money work for you.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, my dad and my stepdad taught me at a young age that like the best thing you can do is make money while you sleep. Because if you're making money while you're sleeping, then you have full freedom. Like you're not having to dance every day, right? And yeah, love that. Okay, so let's get into it. So I have an acronym that I've been working on that I think, so like if someone's your guys' age and you're, let's say, I know there's people of all ages in here, but you're 20 years old or 25 or even 30 or whatever, like, and you're like, I want to become a millionaire in the next couple of years. And I want to get I want to get in a good spot financially. I want to get momentum. I believe if you dial in these three pillars, then you can go do that. So the first is D. So it's an acronym, DOG. Starting with D, develop as a person. So you'll never out earn your level of development, which is why I love stuff like this, right? You have to develop into the type of person that is a millionaire. So you've all heard stories of like someone wins the lottery, right? And they get $1 million. But what usually happens to that person when they just like, when $1 million shows up at their doorstep? Spend it and it goes away really fast. Why? Because they're dumb. They're not developed yet, right? Like, so there's a difference between having $1 million and being a millionaire. There's a difference between having money and being wealthy, right? So we're going to talk about, I'm going to share a thought or two today that I believe like just some cool nuggets that I think you guys can kind of work on in terms of your personal development and how you're thinking. I'll get into that in a minute. The O stands for obtaining high value skills. And I'm going to share a couple of those here in a minute, but this is the active income component, right? So again, I'm a believer that you have to have a skill set with your active income that you can make a ton of money and then go and invest. Why is that so important? Why is the active income component so important? Because I know we just talked about how like, you got to invest, you got to have money working for you, but like that's the long-term game, but short-term, it's not realistic, right? So why is that active income component so important?
I think so you can keep building your passive.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like a lot of us are gonna go do sales.
Yep.
That's the way that we really get our foot into real estate.
That's right.
And then keep doing that.
Yeah, like I literally think of it as like I'm dumping from one pile and I'm I'm throwing it in this other one. But if I don't have a pile to take dirt from, then I can't get started, right? Can't kindle the fire. So there are skills that you can learn where you can make cash fast. And I know there's this like you know you can't get rich quick. I honestly do believe if you have high value skills, you can make cash fast. And so we're going to talk about some of those skills and what they are today. And then the G stands for grow through investing. So this is that passive income component. And this is mainly what we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks. It's the investing portion, right? It's the make money while you sleep. It's the freedom, live life on your terms. A lot of these things have been mentioned, and I obsess about this. This pillar is my favorite. Because sales is my day job, and I love sales. But if you wanted to just jam on one topic, for me it would be real estate investing. Like it's what I love to talk about it. So it's what I'm passionate about. That's why it's circled. We're going to talk about that primarily over the next couple of weeks. Okay. So we're going to start. I'm going to kind of work through the DOG. So developing as a person. So there is a less effective way to think. This is like black here. You can't see that, but past, present, future. So this is how I see the world. And I'm talking about how we're developing as people right now. I'm just going to share a nugget or two on the D portion. Okay. Why is this less effective? So this is how most people think, right? They've experienced things in the past, then that affects their present, and then that affects their future, right? Why is that maybe a less effective way to think? Yeah.
Kind of feels like closed-minded, like you think about that kind of linear way.
Yes.
And any other opportunity or way you think about like any new thing that comes up in your life you can't take advantage of because you're in a situation that doesn't take advantage of it.
Yes. Yeah. In the past, we might have traumas. We might have not gotten awesome results. We might have gotten good results, but sometimes good is the enemy to great, right? So like even if we've gotten good results, I love the word linear that you used. Like I think a lot of people are tempted to think linearly, where it's like, hey, I made X amount of money last year, or I invested Y amount of money, or I did this in my life with my fitness or my faith or whatever. So therefore next year I'm going to go and increase and improve by 5, 10, 15%, right? But 5, 10, 15% is not exciting, right? The problem is when you're thinking through this model, past, present, future, in terms of your goal setting, you're just marginally improving, right? What are some other thoughts on this that maybe came up with through Bliss's thought? Yeah, well,
It's like the time is now, like your future is like today.
yeah,
Yeah, just like wait on, oh, I can do that later.
sure,
Like your future is
yeah,
not bad. It's
yeah,
bad.
love it. Yeah, cool.
I think this past week I was talking to an agent that's been in the business for 32 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I met him at a Starbucks. And when I pulled up, he was cold calling people, and I asked him about it. And the component of linear reminds me of this, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
as successful as this dude is, because he's a big dog,
Yeah.
too, and it's like to see him like grinding just like these like brand new agents.
Yeah,
It was interesting to see that like just like you can take shitty experiences from the past to say, oh well, I'm only limited to these successes.
Yep.
Right. It was interesting to see the other side of that coin, to see like that he's not just taking his his successes of being a top 1% realtor for decades.
Yep.
And then just like chilling, right? Like it was clear that he's developed
yeah,
himself in such a way that like he lives right now to be able to thank himself.
yeah.
Later.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, he's not above anything, not above the process, not above what it takes to go and have success. How might this be a better way to think? So this feels weird, but what if we started with our future and then we reverse engineered from there, right? So I got this framework from one of my really good friends, but I love this idea of using our future as a tool to then build our present. Does that make sense? How could that be better than using our past as a tool to shape our present? Yeah.
Well, when you think about the future, sort of with the first one, that's less effective, I think this is not person, the future is someone else, the future is someone I'm not ever gonna know, that's sort of
Yeah,
tomorrow's problem.
yes,
But if
Yep.
you think about the future is now, like I mentioned over here, if you think about, okay, what do I want my future self to do? And you can reverse, what does he do every day? He wakes up at this time, he goes to the gym at this time. He's responsible in these ways. Then you start thinking, okay, how can I do that? So that my future self will already, it starts sooner rather than later.
yeah. I think like if you're starting with your future self in mind, then you can know what to say yes and what to say no to today, right? It's easier to filter out like what should I say no to in my daily actions when I know like what my future self is trying to go accomplish, right? What else? What other thoughts come to your guys' mind? How is it more effective? Like, so like some of you guys that are going to sell this summer, right? Like, and maybe some of you guys that are veterans. So like Sam, I'll use you. Sam sold really well last summer. But how might this be more helpful than this way of thinking for you in terms of your goals this summer?
What if I think of myself as someone who sells a certain amount of revenue that I'm prepared with some size?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So like this way of thinking is like, okay, I did, 150K last summer in sales. So therefore, like honestly, what's probably realistic is 180K because I'll marginally improve this year, right? But I love Bliss's thought of like that is linear thinking. Focused thinking is starting with your future self and reverse engineering from there. What do I want to be? What do I want to go do, right? And I've had so many times in my life where it's like I said, like I struggled in high school academically, right? And so if I just anchored with like from my past self, it would have been like, no, I'll just marginally improve and like I may be somebody at the age of 40 if I just keep chipping away at this thing, right? But at some point, I just had to say like, screw it, like the past is the past. I'm gonna look a year or two down the road or 3 years down the road, and I'm gonna reverse engineer from there. And so I'm gonna have to start to say no to the negative thoughts or the excuses or whatever, right? Yeah, Jackson.
Yeah, this just reminds me, a couple months ago, we went to InvestorCon and we got to listen to Bearded Brandon kind of get up there and talk. And he said something super similar to this. It's like a story of like the man who wanted a wife. And he's like, okay, well, if you want a wife, like, how are you going to get a wife? Let's start at the top.
Yeah.
Well, if you need a wife, like, you should probably get a girlfriend. And if you need a girlfriend, you should probably download Tinder. And like he worked his way all the way down. And then it came down to something like as simple as, I need to go get a haircut so I can take a picture to get on Tinder or something. So that's just what it makes me think of. And I think it goes for anything. I mean, you start where you want to be and you work your way back and you set yourself a game plan.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And
I think when I saw this, I think the first thing that came to my mind was a quote that I feel like highlights this. It says, what we love determines what we seek determines what we think and do. What we think and do determines who we are and who we will become. I feel like a lot of the times I fall into this trap too. I let my past define me. Yeah. Like, oh, this happened before, so it's bound to happen again. But if you have the future in mind, then what you establish and what you plan on having happen can establish who you will become in your persona.
Yeah. Amen. Love that. Yeah. Your future is the most strong psychological tool for your present. It is not your past. You can learn from your past, but like you should be thinking about your future 10 times more than what's happened to you or even what's happening to you now. Like, so I think that's a super important way to think. Tyler.
Yeah, just along the same lines, like if you're running a race and you don't know what the finish line is very clearly, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's hard to get motivated and you don't see exactly what you're driving for.
Amen. Love that.
And at the end of the day, what you think about absolutely what's going to be done.
That's right.
Thinking about the past, person that you were, you're not going to get anything like that.
Yep. Love that. Yeah, cool.
We just piggyback off that of Tyler's, but like I think real estate investing sometimes gets the HGTV effect, the glamorous, that side of it. But I mean, at least from my experience, like it's not the sexiest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like it's really not. And like all the rentals that I have, it's like it just wasn't like this like big grandiose like experience that all of a sudden changed my life overnight. And so I think that like it's like like making those decisions is probably way harder if you don't, if you're not looking at it from the future self,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like, I wouldn't want to be uncomfortable right now unless I know that my future self is like,
Yeah, like the
I know
price
you
tag, there's a price tag to being successful, but the price tag becomes more exciting when you're starting with your future self. Like I want $10,000 a month in passive income, right? Like that was a big thing for me for like with Jocelyn for our first, when I started kind of like thinking about this real estate thing. And it was like, yeah, along the way, it's like there's a lot of unsexy things that need to happen to go pull that off. We need to go live. We lived in a fourplex that tested positive for meth. That unit did. We had to remediate it, lived in it. Like I had a year here at Point, and I don't like share this to boast, but I had an amazing year 1 year at Point. I made $400,000 in earnings. We lived in a basement apartment that didn't have any windows. Like it was like depressing, And it's like the only reason I was willing to do that was because of like this future self that I was like, that's where I'm headed. If it was like, if I was thinking through this lens, I'm like, I would have been like, what am I doing? Like, this is so silly. Like the sacrifice doesn't make any sense, right? So I love that idea of like knowing where you're going. And here's one last little nugget on the develop piece. So this is super aligned with Bliss's thought. Bliss used the word linear. Linear is the approach that most people take. The focused path. So 1 year goals, right? Like figure out your timeline for what your goals are. Start with your future self and then work back from there. And you're going to say no to a lot of things to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish within the year, right? You might have to say no to certain jobs or certain internships or even certain like meetups. Like if this isn't serving you, then you should say no to this, right? Like this Underdog Academy, like if it's not serving you, helping you hit your goals, then you should say no to this, right? Start saying no to the things that don't help you get what you want out of life, right? Okay, so I have a journal that there's a couple in the back. There's a bunch more that'll be here next week, but when Tyler shared his thought, like what are my coordinates set to, right? The main thing I'm going to plug with this journal is there's a goal section, which is a top 10 section every day that I invite you to do every day. And the top 10 is basically over the next year of my life. So 1 year, what are the top 10 things that are the most important to me and where am I headed? So I'm going to start every day with my future self, right? Active income goals, passive income goals. Use those 4 F's, faith, family, finances, and fitness as my pillars to build with, right? But I believe big time that if you can teach your brain day in and day out, like this is where I'm headed. And I like to write it in the tense that says I've accomplished this. Like a year down the road, I own 5 more units, in 1 year from now. And I made X amount of money this year. And if you'll write those things down day in and day out, and you're not copy and pasting day over day, you're writing them fresh. And sometimes your goals will change throughout the year, and that's okay. But I want you guys to do something like that, whether it's my process or something like that. I think it's so important that you're constantly writing down your goals and you're teaching your brain, like my future self, this is who I want to be, and this is where I'm headed. Okay. And then just the last thought on this, like if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? So if you have not gotten results yet financially in your life, your habits need to change. You need to change who you're hanging out with, what you're doing, what time you're waking up in the morning, maybe change your job. If you haven't worked here yet at Point, like I'm stoked that you're here because like I think we can help you. But your habits will bridge the gap between your performance and your potential, right? I'm gonna keep ripping. Okay, so that's the D. Those are just some nuggets that I wanted to share with you guys in terms of the develop and like how I'm seeing the world, right? Develop as a person. We're gonna transition now into the obtain high value skills. So let's just talk for 2 minutes about why sales is a powerful way to make cash, right? We're talking about obtaining high value skills, and I have 4 here that I'm gonna highlight today. Why is sales such an awesome, low barriers to entry starting point? What comes to your guys' mind? Yeah.
I was talking about this actually a couple of days ago, but it is just like the greatest overall resume builder.
Yeah.
You do everything in sales, teamwork. You've got documents that you work with, you talk with people, you've got social skills.
Yeah.
You learn how to work hard. Like there's just, it's an overall, finish to the car. Like it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I love it. The reason why I love sales is in sales, you trade value for money, not time for money, and your income can be explosive if you get really good at it, right? And you literally, there's no barriers to entry. You don't need a college degree. You need a clipboard and a door to knock, or if you're not in door to door, you need a phone and someone to call on, right? But if you can go learn that skill, you can make money quick. And my tip would be, whether you're here or somewhere else, find a person that's done sales at a very high level and become a sponge and learn everything that they did and copy and paste it. Like that will help you a ton. So sales is an awesome skill. Leadership. Why is leadership? And again, this is kind of like as it goes up, there you get more and more leverage. What does leverage mean?
Influence.
Okay. Yeah. What else? What else comes to your mind when you think of leverage?
Easier to do something hard.
Okay. Yeah. Love that. Yeah, that's solid.
Scale.
Scale. I love that word. Like, why can I make more money in leadership than I doing sales and leadership than I can just in sales? Why is that? Why is that a thing? Why are you, most of the time, why are top earners in an organization people that are leading other people? Yeah.
Just for this higher value.
Yeah.
More value, more.
Yeah, I'm putting on revenue myself, but I'm also helping other people put on revenue, right? So I make more. Money follows value every time. And so you know, really leadership in a lot of ways, like you're just multiplying yourself. Like by selling it's selling is addition, leadership is multiplication. So if you want to get really good, if you want to make more money, get more leverage and make cash quicker to buy more real estate, become a leader. Learn how to sell at a high level and then learn how to help other people have success. And there's a lot there that we could jam on, right? Emotional leadership, being an optimist, leading from the front. We have some amazing leaders here at Point. But yeah, leadership is huge. And I think that that's something that you should learn and study about. These are all skills, by the way, that like, if you have no cash or you haven't made a lot of progress financially, I would start with learning these skills. You can read some real estate books and ask questions on that stuff. But where I would really start is I would start with this stuff. I would start with the O, the D and the O, right? Obtain high value skills. Go find skills where you can make cash, because you're basically a spectator on the sidelines watching other people invest in real estate. You don't have cash and you can't participate in the game. Does that make sense? Okay, next one is investing, which I'm going to talk about in the G section, but just investing in general, guys, like we've already talked about this, but it's a multiplier and it's a skill and it's something that you should learn. And we're going to dive into that. So I'm going to table that one for now. And then this one, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but you've recently seen me start to post online. We got Taylor here in the back doing some video stuff. Selling is one-to-one, but online and branding is one-to-many. And so I would start and I would go in this order, but I think that people should have an online brand. I think like people like Jackson have been taking that seriously. It's helped him build teams here at Point. And I would consider getting online and having a brand and trying to take that seriously as well, because it's crazy. There's crazy leverage in that, right? I post something one time, it lives on forever. In investing, I deploy capital one time, that money works for me forever, right? So these are skills that I believe, like if you can go and learn them, they will serve you for years to come big time. Any questions or thoughts on any of these 4 competencies or skills? And there are more. These aren't like the only ones. These are just 4 that came to my mind. And honestly, these are the 4 that I feel like I have competence in. I have very little competence in the online thing, but Taylor's trying to help me with that. But the other 3 I've been jamming on for a long time. And like, these are skills that I believe that if you go pick up, then you can get cash to go participate in real estate. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about the real estate piece. So we already had this discussion, but you can get rich doing your job. You can get wealthy by investing. Right? So we already talked about this, but rich people, oftentimes it may not mean that they're still sleeping good at night. Like wealthy people sleep really good at night. because they have money invested, and if something happened to them, then they would be okay, right? So I want to talk about the power of starting young. So now talking about real estate investing, raise your hand if you are younger than 30 in the room. So a lot of people. I'm older than 30. Take 30, 31, 32. Oh, you did. You're in the game.
I feel old.
Cole, 32.
32.
Me too, dude. Let's go. Bunch of old guys. Taylor, don't tell us your age, bro. Okay, so the power of starting young. I remember when I was your guys' age, I was 22, and I read a book by Tony Robbins. It was called what was it called? Amazing book. Money Makeover is the Dave Ramsey book. It's a financial book about from Tony Robbins. And he said in this book that if a 22-year-old, I was 22 at the time, and he wrote in this book, and it was like right my age, it was 22. He said, if a 22-year-old were to invest $30,000 in the stock market and never invest another dollar in their life, at 65 years old, guess how much that $30,000 would turn into? So about 40 years of compounding. Guess what the $30,000 investment, and again, you're not investing another penny again in your life. It was something like $1.6 million or something crazy. And I just remember reading that and being like, holy crap, like I'm still young. And if I figured that out, like I could get wealthy, like even an underdog like me, right? Even someone that like may not be the smartest person in the room. If I can figure out how to round up some dough and get it invested, like I'm going to be okay. My family is going to be fine. And so when I read that, it excited me to go work harder at my day job. But my story basically is I worked a couple years at Point. We saved, and I'm going to get into this, but we saved our money. We lived super poor. I got good at sales. I got good at leadership. And I bought a fourplex when I was 24 years old. We put 5% down on this fourplex. We bought it for $567,000. We rented out the other 3 units. And we lived there for a year. I quickly could see this is going to work. And to Cole's point, it wasn't sexy. It wasn't like I was rich overnight. Like it takes time. Real estate investing takes lots of time. But I could see, holy cow, like this is not rocket science. Like these people aren't calling me every day. It's fine. Like this is not that much work. And so I used this strategy, which I'm going to talk about next week, but we put $30,000 down to get this property, and we lived in it for a year. And I just got excited, and I was like, I'm going to double down, and I'm just going to do this. And so I started with my future self, like I talked about with the develop section. And Jocelyn and I, my wife, said for the next 5 to 7 years, we're going to commit to this plan where we're just going to buy properties, we're going to live in them, and we're going to move into the next one, the next one, the next one. And I'm going to get better and better and better at my sales job and at leading other people. And I'm going to focus on my active income, and we're going to use this real estate thing as a vehicle to get wealthy. Yeah.
Awaken the giant within.
Oh yeah, love it. Yeah, love it. And then we lived in this, so we moved the next year. This is the dungeon apartment I was referencing. No windows. It's in Pleasant Grove. Tyler sold me this house. It was amazing. We put 16 grand down on this one. Renovated it, lived in it for a little bit. And then we just kept doing this. Like we stayed consistent with live in a property, rent it out, move into the next one, move into the next one. But these 3 properties were the first 3 properties that I ever purchased, and these absolutely changed my life. And today, these 3 properties alone, the equity in these 3 properties is probably worth upwards of $1 million. And I bought these when I was between 24 and 26 years old. So I was your guys' age. And it's fast forward 6, 7 years. And real estate's not get rich quick, but if you put 5, 10 years of wind and like some momentum behind real estate deals, they will look really good. Most deals look really, really good in 5 to 7 years. And so this is why I'm so passionate about this, is I look at a room full of 20 to 25-year-old people, and I'm like, if you just do this, like if you just commit to it, you can become wealthy like at a really young age. And not only is the equity in these buildings worth about $1 million just between these 3 properties, but the passive income from them is amazing. Probably $5,000 or so in passive income between these 3 properties alone. And so there is power in starting young. Again, that Tony Robbins thought, like if a 22-year-old or 25-year-old or whatever starts young and invests young, man, you can get really wealthy. And to be honest, because of some of the real estate professionals in this room and some of the knowledge that I have, that those numbers actually look a lot better than Tony Robbins's situation, right? His situation was invest in the S&P 500 and wait for 40 years. Real estate, your money can work a lot harder than that if you invest properly and you know what you're doing. So that, $30,000 that Tony Robbins was talking about in real estate can turn into way more than $1.6 million. We're talking $10, $20 million if you get in the game and you stay really disciplined. Any questions on that or thoughts on that from my real estate peeps? Yeah, Sam.
For the second property that you mentioned you bought, you lived in the dungeon, was that just upstairs, downstairs apartment?
Yeah. Yep, upstairs, downstairs duplex, and we lived in the basement because who has taken Corbin Church's class at BYU? Some people in here. He has this whole philosophy where he talks about you are poor and you are like you stay poor for as long as you can. And what do poor people do? Where do they live? They live in the basement.
They live in the dungeon.
They live in the dungeon, dude, because they're poor. They can't afford the upstairs. And so that was our philosophy is like, although I'm making really good money at my day job, like my mentality for this 5 to 7 year period of time is like, I am poor. I am poor. I don't drive a nice car. We drove this Subaru that my wife had that had like this nasty, it was just like this, the window seal was like flapping all the time. It was like not sexy, right? But the philosophy was like, we are poor and we're just going to stay in that mode for a long period of time. But yeah, we could get more rent from the upstairs, right? So at that time when we bought this, I think the mortgage was $1,600 and we rented the upstairs out for like $1,200 or $1,300. And so we lived for $400 in the basement. And we had cash flow now from this building. And so we basically were living for free. And now, again, like fast forward 6, 7, 8 years, what happens in real estate to rents? What happens to the property's value, right? It increases. So upstairs now we get $1,800 on that one property. It started at $1,200. That was like 7 years ago, right? So the upstairs now alone covers the mortgage, and then the downstairs is all gravy now. But anyway, those were things we were willing to do initially, and that was the power of this. Like, we're young, we're scrappy, and we're just going to lean into this thing for a while. Yeah.
And respectfully, of course, but those 3 properties are not like the consumer's dream.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh yeah,
not the sexiest houses.
No, like I drive by
the
the
meth
duplex
house
sometimes,
was gross.
like
Let's just be honest.
yeah.
Even PG house, like
Yeah.
like not. Like,
Yeah, it's on a main road. It's not super cute.
Yeah, like it's not like the
Yeah.
Instagram, like the,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's also like I look at my clients that have like been on a different trajectory as others, and I think a lot of the time, as funny as it sounds, it's like they're willing to buy houses that the average consumer is not wanting to buy, because it's like the fourplex, you move in and you had to remediate, and I think it costs like what, like 10, 12 grand,
like 7,000.
and then like the PG house, like you bought it to then renovate the basement, right? So then invest that money into it. And it's like not everybody's willing to do that or wants to. So I think that's a huge differentiator as well that I've noticed.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why we want to be in your corner, is we want to help you find like what are the properties. A lot of times you're like looking for a math equation, you're not looking for curb appeal, right? So sometimes like a cute house that looks really nice from the front is not the answer. I bought these houses and I bought a lot of the other deals that I've purchased because of the numbers, not how cute they are. And we'll get into that. So, but I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay, so we're going to shift gears. We'll probably have another 20, 30 minutes. You guys cool with that? And we're going to start to get into some real estate stuff. So if you're like, where do I start? Right? Like, what are the 4, 5, 6 steps to get in the game and get my first rental? Or even if I'm in the game, like, how do I scale and get more properties? Right? So I got another acronym. I like acronyms. L stands for learn. You got to learn. So come to stuff like this. There's some podcasts and some books that I'm going to recommend today. There are people in here that you can learn from. That community online, the Underdog Wealth, like that site, I'm going to make sure that some of our real estate experts are plugged in there. They can answer questions. If you guys have questions about real estate, I want that to be a place where you guys can get some support and get questions answered. Okay, so utilize this community. We're going to talk about earning a little bit more. You got to have an active income vehicle. Save your money. I'm going to share some best practices in terms of like being a saver. Learning to be a saver is super important. You're not going to be able to go invest if you can't first play defense with your money. Get qualified. I'm going to have Cole share a couple thoughts on like what a lender looks for in order to get qualified, right? So he's like the first gatekeeper for you to be able to get a property. A lot of people think like, I'm going to go just find a real estate agent, just start talking with them. You're going to waste a real estate agent's time if you're not yet qualified. So Cole is actually like your first line of contact in terms of like getting your first rental property. But today it'll be cool because we'll kind of jam on what are the three things. There's three things that a lender is going to look for primarily. We'll talk about those and they'll kind of get you pumped about like, what do I got to go do to get my first property? And then organize your team. So I'm going to talk about that, but agents, lenders, contractors, property managers, things like that. And again, we have a lot of contacts and people that we can help plug you in with. So, okay. So, mentors. I want to talk about mentors. So like my story is, I had a mentor at BYU named Corbin Church, took his class. I had done 2 years of sales. He taught a really similar lecture as what I'm teaching you guys here now at BYU. And I was obsessed. I was just like, I want to do this. This sounds amazing. I want to go create wealth in real estate. I sat down with him after a class one day and he pulled out a whiteboard and he basically said like, this is what you're going to do. You're going to eat crap for 5 years. Like your life's going to suck for 5 years. You're going to make a ton of money, work really hard, and then you're going to buy these rental properties and you're going to do it consistently. If it weren't for him, I texted him last night and I was like, hey, I'm getting a group together tomorrow. I want you to know, like, I love you and I really appreciate you helping me back in the day. Mentors will quicken your path big time. Maybe Tyler, if you would just share, like, so Tyler, a bunch of these guys own a bunch of rentals. How many units do you have, Tyler?
Like 45, but 12 properties.
Okay, 12 properties, 45 units. Maybe just speak to the power of mentors and how that's helped you scale the way that you have.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of this goes back to Corbin Church. If
Yeah.
I hadn't have heard Corbin Church, he was creating wealth last year, I wouldn't be here. It's just one simple strategy, how fast can you totally change the trajectory of how I feel about it.
Love it.
And now my whole career is based on helping people do the exact same.
Yeah, love that. Mentors are huge. So go find that person. We hope to be that person for you. I think we're qualified to help you with that. And I have no dog in the fight, by the way, right? Like I just want to help and add value. So what's the difference between declarative? We were actually just talking about this, but declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge. Those are two complicated words, but like what's the difference between those two? Anyone know? They're kind of complicated. Yeah.
It sounds pretty more technical, you understand exactly what to do and how to do it and what to do it.
Yeah, I think of this as like boots on the ground learning, right? So like you're gonna learn some declarative knowledge here over the next couple of weeks. But in the after hours stuff, like Sam and I actually have met up and I would say we've gotten more into some of this stuff, like tactical stuff, walking properties. If you have a friend that's looking at rentals and they're maybe further down the road than you and they wouldn't be wasting a real estate agent's time, like go with them. Just go with them, go on the tours, ask the questions. Try to get procedural knowledge because this will increase your confidence faster, right? But when your confidence is high and you know what you're doing or you know what to look for and stuff, you're going to act quicker. And how can speed help you as an investor? Maybe one of our real estate peeps. If you have high confidence, how can that help you act more quickly? Yeah.
Big thing is just knowing what you're getting yourself into. real estate, the procedure, you got a lot of forms that come at you, a lot of things that you gotta sign, they're all legally binding.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure what you're signing, it's gonna be a little bit more of like well, I'm not too sure about this process.
Yeah.
I see this on paper, like, what does this actually mean? But to what you said, if you're tagging along with your friends, you're seeing what they're doing, you're understanding the procedure. When it comes time to buy a place, you can act faster, which will get you the better deal, get you into a home quicker.
Yep.
That's just kind of what I've seen is a lot of people will say, oh, well, what about this on the contract? And we spend 20, 30 minutes trying to help a client understand these things and how it's not going to hurt them, and how this is going to protect them, those types of things.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Jax.
I would say, I mean, this is coming from someone who's brand new to this. I just kind of tossed myself in the deep end, and I'm definitely feeling the side effects of that right now.
Yeah.
So I think procedural knowledge on that topic is just, I mean, take your time, do your due diligence, like learn about it so that you can have that confidence going into it. I feel like I started kind of back to your past to future thing. I definitely started in the past where I was like, oh, that's the future over here. I'm just going to dive first into this. Yeah, I should have looked at it like the opposite way around.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Cool. So learn, right? I have a couple resources. These are a couple books that I read that have been huge for me in learning real estate. This book has made me a lot of money. I love this book. It's a strategy I'm going to talk about in a couple weeks, but this is an amazing book. My favorite of three. This book's like kind of more high level, just awesome financial literacy stuff. But the Burr Method by Sean Green or David Green, I think, is so good. And then Brandon Turner is the guy that Jackson mentioned that spoke at this conference a couple weeks back. He's written a really good book. This is kind of like an all-encompassing, just learning about rental properties book. Some podcasts. One of my really best friends runs this real estate investing school. He has an awesome podcast. He has people on all the time. It's really good stuff. David Green is the guy that wrote this book. So he's got an awesome show. He used to be a part of a podcast called Bigger Pockets, and then he just spun off and started his own thing, but it's really good stuff. Anyway, these are some awesome resources that I would be listening to, and a lot of them are really helpful in terms of real estate stuff. These two and these two are like all things real estate. These are kind of more like financial literacy type book and podcast. So, okay, find a speedy way to make cash. So what skills do I need to acquire to be in a fast vehicle, right? When you hear the word vehicle, like what comes to your mind in terms of active income? How can active income be a vehicle for you? Yeah.
I think you just get to like your goals, like from point A to point B, and then like, just like a fast vehicle would just be like, how do you make money as quick as possible?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Typically, you're not gonna do that. Work at a 9 to 5, you know, usually that takes several years till you're making,
Yeah.
you know, upwards of $100K a year.
Yeah, so which I'm going to get into in the save section, but like if you want to invest in real estate today, like you need to go have some, you need to go earn income, and you need to have cash, and so you need to have a way to go earn, earn that money. There's ways that you can save, and it can take a long time, but if you want to get investing in real estate the younger the better, right? So go find a vehicle that can help you get cash in a speedy fashion, right? There are slow vehicles and there are fast vehicles, and find one that's faster than a slow one. And so I think those skills that I laid out, sales, leading other people, find something where in a short amount of time you can go make a lot of money. Okay? Trade skills for cash and then cash for assets. So that's the formula that will help you make a lot of money. Learn to play defense. What comes to your mind so now we're talking about saving your money. Why is it important to play defense? And why is it important to have this I am poor mentality that I talked about that Corbin Church showed me?
I mean, I think a big thing, especially for like dudes who are doing sales and stuff, who make a lot of money, and then like after like, oh, we just like want to spend it, we want to buy a new car and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's honestly like a bunch of bull crap.
Yeah.
Because you're not rich when you make 30, 50K in a summer.
Yeah.
You're still poor.
Yeah.
You know? And so the way to get more rich is have that mentality of like, I am poor, I need to be like spending as little as possible. Shouldn't be going out and eating fancy food, or shouldn't be buying fancy clothes and stuff.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. Yeah, so having the active income vehicle is the first part, but you have to learn to be a saver. It is an actual skill. Like being a saver is a skill. It's something that you have to commit to doing. Buy the less expensive, product or service or whatever. Find a way to be scrappy and save your money. That's super important. Yeah, Dustin.
This is something I've been thinking about a lot, like recently, but if you're able to save, let's say like 10 grand, if you if you invest it right, it'll compound and become way more than that.
Yeah.
And so like, I've been thinking about money as in ways of, it'll be worth so much more than that. So that's why it makes sense to like save as much as you can, because it'll compound like crazy.
Yeah, when you treat dollars like they're gonna be multiplied if you save them, right? Like saving is the first step, and then you're eventually hopefully gonna invest those dollars. But like you're not, when you go spend $100 or $1,000 on something that's like not that important to you, you're not even spending, again, as a 20-something-year-old, you're not spending $100 or $1,000. You're spending what that money could turn into, right? So there's massive opportunity cost to money that you're gonna go spend. So you have to think through that lens. Like, and I was always thinking through that lens when we started getting into the game and trying to buy another property, right? 16 grand, that second house that we bought has turned into $300,000 6 years later. And again, I don't share that to like boast. I share that because I want you to understand, like, anyone in this room can save 16 grand, like within a year or two. Like, it's not that hard, but like people aren't willing to do that. And so you have to pay the price today to be able to pay the price tomorrow. And it's super important that you're willing to do that. Adam, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I also feel like part of playing defense is also planning out like for the future, like goals, what you want to do with that money, because you can't just save money and be like, oh yeah, cool, I'm just gonna let it sit there. Like we've been talking about the whole time, we want to actually put it into stuff, whether that be real estate or just other investments.
Yep.
And so you can't just, say that you're gonna save and then do nothing with it. There's always got to be a plan on what you're gonna do year, 2 years, 5 years from now.
Yep, love that. Yeah.
To that point, it makes me think of like, the guys that I see that are like so defense heavy, right? That are so passive that, I've got clients that literally have hundreds of thousands of dollars that are sitting in like their savings account, right? It's like, it's not making them any money. They don't have properties. They don't, and it's like, I just want to like, just shake them. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they're so defense minded that like, they built that into their system like so much that they're unwilling to spend it for the upside.
I love that thought. The flip side of that coin is you're saving to then be able to go and invest. Like you're not saving. Saving is not the long-term thing that you want to get married to. It's a skill that you're learning initially to then be able to go and invest. I see that a ton as well. Like I have friends that have made really, really good money over the years, and they're just sitting on cash year over year because they're so, which comes back, in my opinion, to the learning piece, is they're just not, they're not confident enough to go deploy that money, and they're just not, like, it's a lack of education, in my opinion. So, but I love that. Another skill is the investing piece and being able to write the check and just like trust it and send it, right? You're young and it's going to be okay. And even if the market goes backwards for a couple of years, like long term in 5-10 years, find me a single person that regrets buying a property that they bought 10 years ago. Like that person doesn't exist, right? So investing, if you play it for a long enough time period, you're going to be in good shape. Avoid lifestyle inflation, which is as I'm making more money, I just start spending more to keep up with that, right? I'm not a huge Dave Ramsey fan, but there's an app here that can help you a lot in terms of your savings. So I would create systems around it. If you have a problem with it, then download an app and start budgeting, right? Like if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. So I would definitely recommend using an app like this. This one's called Every Dollar. And actually, I've never downloaded this, but I've heard really good things about it. So, I honestly, my wife and I are freaking frugal, and so like, if anything, we probably need to chill the heck out sometimes. Like, so anyway, but some people need to build that muscle and create systems for it, and so I would recommend doing that if that's a problem for you. So, budgeting is an interesting concept for me. I think some people like need to think more abundantly to your point. So, Okay, I'm gonna have Cole kind of tap in for this, but the three things, maybe I'll share a couple thoughts and then I'll have you kind of share. Okay, so I've learned, I've earned, I've saved some money. I've got $50,000 to $100,000 saved, or 50 to 70 grand saved, right? So I've got some money, but like I'm going to Cole and he's saying, dude, sorry, you're still not qualified to buy real estate, which can be frustrating. And we have reps I know that are on Zoom and here in person that have had that experience. So there's three main things that they're looking for in terms of getting qualified. First is cash that you have in the bank. So they're literally going to look at your pay stub or your bank statements, like you're like you basically strip naked for them. Like, look at what I got, and they're going to look at how much cash you have in the bank. Okay, so that's the first thing. So you can't hide a whole lot there.
I see OF subscriptions all the time. So.
What's that? Oh yeah, careful. Jeez, that's tough. Times have changed. That's
The watching subscription.
yeah, crazy. So cash that I have is huge. Income. So in 1099, because we're all 1099 here, or a lot of us are, they're gonna take the last 2 years of your 1099 income and they're gonna average that out. So if you made 50 grand this year, 100 grand next year, they're going to average that out. If you have a W-2 job, they're just going to look at your basically your weekly pay stubs. Anything to add to that? Like
No,
from a cash and income standpoint, like what else is there?
Yeah, income for you guys is interesting, right? Because a lot of you guys only make money from May to August.
Yeah.
Right. So the biggest piece of advice, and Parker and I kind of learned this together probably 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Starting to get into this, and it's like especially for you summer sales guys, it is worth every ounce of gold to find a tax professional that knows what they're doing and that you can trust in how to structure your taxes, because 95% of summer sales guys absolutely screw themselves by the way they structure their taxes.
Meaning they write off too much.
Yeah, or they don't show enough, or there's something that is not connecting, right? So that is where, the ability to, again, make money, but then not be able to qualify for this deal that is just like the ultimate home run, right? Can be super frustrating. And so then it's having to, add complexities to that, where it's like now you have to add a partner to it, and now you have to split that 50-50, and now so again, having a tax professional that knows what they're doing with summer sales guys, I think is super critical, because again, like if you can get to where you're structuring it as an S corp and you're paying yourself a W-2, and you're like, there's ways that you can get around so much of the tax liability side of things and still meet the demands of what mortgage lenders are looking for.
Love that. Yeah. So I think with starting with your future self, right? Like, communicate to your accountant. I would only hire an accountant that has a track record of like understanding that I'm trying to get qualified for real estate. So I would communicate that with when you're going to do your write-offs and you're getting your tax return filled out, like, hey, I want to qualify for real estate, so please keep that in mind. And I would communicate that to your tax professional. And then I would just check on a couple other people that are maybe in this community that have rental properties, and maybe ask who they use in terms of their tax, their taxes. Tyler.
I would go as far as having a talk.
Love that.
That's what I was gonna add.
Love that. Yeah, that's a great thought.
Yeah, because the more that we can be on the same team, the better, right? Like, too often you've got the tax professional that their main goal is to save you as much dough as possible, right? But then mortgage lender over here wants to see as much income as possible to be able to qualify for the house, or
Those two things are
property
competing.
you want.
Yeah.
And if those two are competing and not talking to each other, then it can be super frustrating, right? Because it's like, I'm telling you, bro, you need to show more income, but then it's like you convey that to your accountant, and he's like, well, my job is to save you as much dough as possible. Why would I want you to pay more in taxes?
Yeah.
But ultimately, that additional money in taxes is outweighed by 100 million when I'm able to get into these properties that now I qualify for.
Yes. Yeah. Pay a little bit more in taxes if it means you can go start investing in real estate. and be willing to. And I love the idea of those two parties talking, your tax professional and a mortgage lender. So, yeah, Alexis. To your mortgage person, I think that's what we're saying is I would,
I
yeah.
would 100%. I tell every single one of my self-employed clients, talk to me before you actually file your taxes. Like, I don't need to be involved in all the details, right? But like, give me a draft, send me the draft before you file, right? Because then I can look at it from okay, here's your 23 taxes. Okay, if you show, this structure in your 24 taxes, then here's what you qualify for. I legally can't tell you what you need to, claim to, qualify for a certain amount, but obviously there's a lot of reading between the lines of, what to do in certain scenarios to qualify for certain.
Generally speaking, though, I think the simple answer is a tax person. When you hire an accountant, they're going to aggressively write things off for a salesperson to try to get you to show as less amount of income as possible, so you pay the government the least amount as possible. That's like the job of the tax person. A mortgage person looks at it through the opposite lens, where they're saying, I want to see as much income as possible so that I can go to our underwriters and prove to them that you're like an adult that makes good money. So that's why they have to communicate. Does that make sense?
I will add one more piece
Yeah.
there though. Sometimes those two can be the same though. So like, for example, and Tyler could, do a whole hour on this, but like, just take depreciation itself, right? So like, Parker, why did you buy that truck?
Depreciation.
Depreciation, right? How much money did that save you? Did buying that truck save you in taxes,
10 to 20 grand probably that year.
Okay, so that's a huge thing that like is a really easy cheat code for self-employed borrowers, is that there's some things that you can use to your advantage to write off to pay less in taxes, but that mortgage lenders can add back into your income. So depreciation is one of those. So for example, if I have a guy that buys a truck and there's a $50,000 depreciation on there, if he made 200, but he's only paying taxes on 150, because it's depreciation, mortgage lenders are able to add that $50,000 back into the income, so we can still qualify 200,000.
So there's a
that
difference
person's
between,
only paying taxes on 150.
so there's a difference in depreciation and a write-off.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's where, again, I just reiterate, like, have a tax professional and a mortgage lender that understands self-employment, because not all of them do. And sometimes, like, you can still get the benefit of both of those worlds in paying less in taxes while also still qualifying for what you want.
Love that. Cool. Let's talk about credit just real quick. If you don't have a credit card, get a credit card, start paying your bills on a credit card, and then pay it off consistently. Maybe just speak to credit. What do you guys look for?
I would say, again, probably the most common thing I see with borrowers 18 to 25 is just super limited credit, just by nature of your age. So again, to Parker's point, like, I would say, like, to be safe, you want at least 2 to 3 revolving accounts. So, even if those are like the super like beginner accounts at like MacU or something, to get like a student credit card that has a limit of $500 or something. Like, just have something, have 2 or 3 credit cards that you are actively using too. Like, credit is, you've got credit score, but you also have credit depth that matters a lot. Like, I have people that have 780 credit and don't qualify. Anybody tell me why?
Not enough history.
Yeah, history's ass. There's no depth. They had like 1 credit card for like a month, but like the credit score sometimes is tricked by, the 1 good payment on this one, brand new card, so to speak, right? But I've also had on the flip side people with like high 500 credit that I feel way more confident about getting them a loan than I would with that person in the 7s.
Yeah.
Right. So depth matters a lot. So, even if you have the ability to pay cash for a car, make sure, again, have the conversations. Does the amount of interest that I'm going to pay outweigh the
returns,
the upside of credit building?
Yeah,
right?
love that.
Because having an auto loan is great for your credit,
obviously paying the interest is not, so let's, try to marry the two together.
Love that. So if you do real estate right, you're gonna borrow money, right? You're gonna borrow money for the rental property. In order to get debt for the rental property, you have to have a credit card, or you have to show that you have good credit to get financing from the rental. So that starts today. Starts getting a couple of credit cards, making consistent payments on them. Okay, this is the last slide. So to get the deal, again, the last letter of the acronym is organize your team. So who, not how, right? I started today with that. Like, find your people that can be in your corner and help you a lot, right? Honestly, like, a lot of the success I've had in real estate is because some of the people that are here that have helped me with that. So find a real estate, find a lender and find an investor. Those are your two. Sorry, not investor. Find an agent and find a lender. Pre-buying, those are your two key people, right, on your team. Agent and lender. Lender's the first person that you're going to go get a pre-qualification letter from. They're like the person that says you're good to go, you're good to buy real estate, and they're the first gatekeeper. So that's why those three things I listed on that last slide are super important that you start focusing on today. The agent, I guess I'll just say this, like, there's a lot of real estate agents. You want to find one that is investor minded, right? So some of the people that are here today, that's why they're here. That's why they're invited. There's a lot of real estate agents out there that there's more real estate agents than there are like homes in America. There are so many real estate agents, and a lot of them don't understand the investor side of things. And so you want to make sure that you have an agent that does, because they can help you a lot. Otherwise, you could go buy a property that may not be a very good deal for you. So I like having savvy real estate agents that know the numbers, they know what to look for, things like that. And that's, again, another purpose of this academy. So once you have the deal, there's two kind of key things that come to my mind here. There's probably more, but good contractors, people that can go work for you, and fix things up for you. And then a property manager. Property managers charge anywhere between 6 to 10% on the rents. So if you have, if you're collecting $1,000 in rent on a property, you're going to pay them, $600 to $660 to $100, a month to manage that unit for you, right? So 6 to 10% of the rent is what you're going to pay a property manager every month. So these are your key people. You want to start networking now in your life to have these people, or else, again, real estate investing, like, at the surface level, it sounds just like amazing and exciting, but you have to go find people that can help you go and pull it off. That's super, super important. So yeah, Dustin.
So with the property manager, I've thought about that for a bit. If you're only managing one or maybe two properties, is it worth it to get a property manager?
Probably not. No, probably not. Like, when I managed my own doors for a pretty good amount of time. I think once I hit 8, 10 doors, I hired a manager and started. And honestly, a lot of people still probably go even further than that. You can get away with doing probably more than that on your own. The problem is it starts to eat into your energy and your active income potential. And I just felt like my time is better served like focusing on what I'm good at. There was a couple of years where I was like running teams at Point, and then like I'd be like selling an account in the summer and like walking out, and like a tenant is calling me because their toilet is like leaking. I'm like, what the freak is that? I'm so tired of this. So like at some point I shifted gears and started hiring a manager, and that's been amazing. But the unfortunate truth is, out of the gates, you just can't afford it. Like, the numbers won't, if you're putting just little down payments down, which is what we're going to teach you to do, you can't afford a property manager for the most part. And so you have to manage your own doors for a little while. Also, I recommend managing your own doors for a while because it helps you learn real estate. It helps you learn, like, what do contractors charge for X and Y, and how do I collect rents? And just you kind of become a professional in terms of like what the process is. But if you want to scale and get to 20, 30 doors and make 10 grand in passive income or whatever, and you really want to kind of stay on the horse for a long time, then you need to hire a property manager, or otherwise it will become your day job. And that is not a high value skill. Like, that was not listed in the O section for a reason. I appreciate my property manager, but like, there's a lot of people that can go clean a leaky toilet and collect a check, So that's a good question. I know this is running a little bit long today, but key takeaways, like questions that you guys have, things that you want to jam on before we finish up. And again, the next two meetups will be more technical, and we're going to kind of get into more numbers and stuff. Any takeaways, anything that you guys wanted to ask before we wrap up today? Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned a lot about finding the right people.
Yeah.
And like real estate agents and tax people.
Yeah.
Are we gonna cover like kind of how to go over that, like how to find people or
Just how to go scoop up those people. I would say hang around after, like there's people here that are on that list, right? And that's part of my objective with this academy is like you being able to network with those people, save their number in your phone when it's game time, like there'll be awesome options for you.
Yeah.
So that's part of the objective here. But like you just knowing like those are people that I'm gonna have to go and find at some point. Now you're gonna start looking for it, right? That's important. So yeah. What else? Any other questions before we close up? Cool. Thank you guys for coming, man. I really appreciate you for being here, and this is fun, and we'll see you next Saturday, same time. We'll keep it rolling.